Welcome to Seeing Scarlet. It's Shelby here with Tyler. And we have a lot to talk about, as always, but we're starting off with softball. Gave us a little bit of a scare. A little bit of a scare. Fun game against Mississippi State, but we dropped that in extra innings, and then they just went from there and didn't lose a game the rest of the weekend. We're going to talk all about that big time matchup with number one Texas and Austin area. Red Raiders. See if you can get tickets. It's a small stadium, but try to get tickets if you can. Your Red Raiders softball team is in Austin this weekend. We're going to talk all about that. We'll talk about basketball, of course. The Lady Raiders hanging around with TCU in the first half looked good. We'll talk about that, and then just kind of lost their legs in that second half, and it got away from them. Still kind of similar story. Just can't quite find a way. But they have a week off this week before a top 25 Baylor comes to town for a big beat cancer game on Saturday. Be there. Red Raiders basketball. Drop one on the road to Arizona. We knew that was going to be tough, but we're going to bounce back tomorrow night against Arizona State. And number one in the country is your women's track team for the first time in school history. We're going to talk about that. Tennis, golf, all the things. Tyler, what's going on?
All right, so guys, this Saturday, women's basketball plays at 2 o'clock at the USA. It is the Play4Kay game, which is always the Pink Out breast cancer game for the K Out Cancer Fund. So y'all wear your pink. First 2,000 fans get a pink rally towel. Be loud. Baylor just slipped into the rankings at number 25 this week. This is the last time the Lady Raiders will take on a top 25 opponent this season other than the Big 12 tournament. So y'all please be there and support them. It seems like we're on a really good turn. Things are getting super close, and I think that Baylor might finally be the game. Like, let's just break them. We haven't beaten Baylor. If you go on the Scarlet Stampede account, we did trivia. We haven't beaten Baylor since 2006. Almost has been 20 years. So let's just break that streak and get the
I
win.
was
Wear your pink. Pack the USA.
I was in high school, so that was a long time ago.
It's been a while. It's been a while. I was looking and I was like, oh, so
Oh my
yeah.
goodness.
But you have to remember Kim Mulkey was there. But Nikki Collin, I don't know what she's trying to do over there, but Baylor fans aren't happy at times. But they're now number one. I don't know. So we'll see what happens. But we'll go more into them later.
Yeah, we're going to talk about that in a minute. But first, softball. Tyler, we talked last time we were on the show. We talked about them beating Marshall, which was the opening game, and we said we're gonna have 5 games to recap when they get back. We do not have highlights for all the games because that would take forever, and also they just don't exist. We have highlights for the Nebraska comeback, which was hype. But take us kind of through the thoughts of each of the games. Where you're at after watching them play 5 more games this weekend and ended up 5-1 with some fun ones in there. So a couple of comebacks.
Right, yeah. So woo, we barely almost
Tyler was
did not end
stressing,
up
y'all.
5-1. I was stressed. I was on the edge of my seat. I was spiraling. But you know what? In Coach Glasgow, we trust, right? We prevailed. We went through. But the reason why I started spiraling is we started off in a heartbreaking game against number 25 Mississippi State. This is a game, guys, that it went the whole 8 innings, like extra innings. We went one extra inning. It was 0-0. Every team was getting some runners on the base. Like we saw some good hits. No one was scoring. Nigel's over here getting strikeouts. They had a really great pitcher that's over here getting strikeouts, and we're just going back and forth and back and forth. Nigel ended up having 12. Well, then, this NFCA tournament thinks that, we're, overseas, and they want to do this international rule. They put it so every team now in extra innings gets a runner on second base, and I'm convinced that that's what screwed us over. So that happens, and then Mississippi State they end up getting a single, and then they end up scoring like I think like 3 runs. So we're down 3-0. We get to the bottom of the eighth, and honestly, I can't complain because we had the most ideal situation in our hands for Mississippi State. Bases are loaded, 2 outs. That's not really ideal, but bases loaded, 2 outs, and we have the Alana Johnson up to bat.
Take it every day.
Yes, I will take that situation every day, and I'll take that situation when we're in the Women's College World Series championship, but not the result of it because she hits a foul fly ball. Mississippi State catches it, and our dreams get crushed for the Mississippi State
Yeah,
game.
I
But
thought. Yeah, did you have something else? Sorry, go ahead.
oh no, I was just saying, but that's kind of where I was at with Mississippi State.
Yeah, no, I mean that was good. I think we had a couple errors in that international tiebreaker inning there that would have gotten us out of it. Maybe I don't know if they count. Maybe the first one wasn't an error, but off the glove at first. we're capable of making that play. By the time May gets here, we're going to make that play. And then that double down the line, or the single down the line, I think go after that a little bit harder, maybe, or get a little bit better read. We're going to catch that once we get to May. Like, it was just some stuff where we're a little bit like a step slow here or there, maybe just getting into the rhythm of the season, where those are defensive plays I think this team's capable of making, and you have to make in those moments in that game. And Mississippi State made those defensive plays when we got up to bat the next inning, and we did score a run and put the pressure on, like you said, but just couldn't finish it off. But it was there, and we had 2 balls in that inning that were a foot, maybe, if that, from going out and being home runs that would have changed the game in that earlier in the game as well. So I think, Anya German had one that almost went out, and then Alana Johnson had a double that went off maybe the top of the wall after hitting a glove or something. It was close to going out. So there was moments, but yeah, tough break, lost it. That was tough. And then had an immediate chance to bounce back with a nightcap at Penn State. So what happened there? Or not at, but same place.
So Penn State, it was a really, really gritty win. I felt like near the end, we did have a 5-1 lead. I believe Chloe Riaceto pitched in that at first, and she got us in a really good spot. And then Sam came in, and we kind of struggled a little bit on the defensive end there. And then it actually got to the point where we ended up going down 5-9. So we were down 5-9. I was losing my mind, and I was like, "Oh no! Like, what are we doing? We're going into the top of the 7th." I'm like, I talked all this crap about Penn State taking our spot in the tournament. I know. Oh, you fans are like, "Oh, blah blah blah," and I'm like, "Oh no." But it's okay, because remember, in Glasgow we trust. We get to the top of the 7th inning. We have a single from Nyjah Kennedy, 1 run batted in. Lauren Allred, 2 runs batted in. And then Reagan Jennings calls game with 2 runs batted in, and we retake our lead 10-9. And then Brindley, she comes in, the freshman, closes out the game, and we beat Penn State. And that was step 1 to our Big Ten championship that we won this weekend.
Loved this game, all of it. Big shouts to Lauren Allred in this. I think she was over. Maybe she might have gotten a hit earlier in this game, I'm not sure, but she didn't have a hit in the first 2 games of the season, right? She steps up in this game in a big moment. She had to have been over. She didn't play in this game. She pinch hit in this moment. And drives in 2 runs to give us a chance in this game. And then that got Reagan's. And then Allred has now gotten a hit in every game the rest of the way. So she started out the season 0-for in her first 2 games, has a hit in all 4 of the games thereafter. So clutch stuff for her. That was good to see. Just quietly coming together for Lauren Allred. She's going to be a big player on this team. So big shouts to her. Reagan Jennings, dog, ends up with 4 RBI in that game. She had a big double earlier in the game, I believe. Or am I mixing up games? I think she had 4 RBI in that game, right?
She might have. Yeah, I think she did.
As well. And that whole game, like if you go up and pull up the play-by-play, that inning, everybody contributed, right? I believe the freshman Haley Toney got a single to get on. Michaela Garcia got on base and kind of forces us to, I don't know, she might have got a single and then got over the second, and it was just maybe forced a fielder's choice or something. Then Haley Toney gets on. Nyjah gets Alana Johnson around to score. Like everybody helped out in that. And then Brindley, Dog, Gonzalez, our freshman, comes in to close that game, which had been drunk. Y'all, I'm talking, this game was drunk. And she steps on the mound, and I'm just like, how's this gonna work, And she just steps in there like just a dog. And she does walk the first batter, and they sacrifice her to second, and then Coach Glasgow, you talked about him, comes out. Usually you'll see the pitching coach in that moment, but he said, no, I got this. I need to talk to my freshman pitcher. And it looked like a pretty tense conversation. Like he was like firing her up. He knows his player. It was not like sometimes you see him like buttering them up. In his own way, he was doing that, but it was a tense conversation. And she locked the F in from that moment on, and she got it done. She struck out maybe the next 2 batters right after that. I know she struck out the last one. That was a huge moment for a freshman. So big shouts to Brindley, the coaching staff, the whole team. That was everybody contributed in that game. I think everybody had a moment, whether they moved a runner or they got on base or they scored. We had a lot of pinch runners come into that game late that were huge scoring as well. So yeah, big stuff. Whole team. Love it.
It was great. Yes, very glad we were able to get that win.
If we had highlights to show you, we would, but they don't exist. Sorry.
Right. Yeah. Game changer. Love that app. Best streaming app of all time. But
They
anyway, we
exist on Game
continue.
Changer. You can go piece them together. They're just not packaged out there.
Right. And then the big game, Nebraska. We'll have highlights to show you over that, but let's kind of take you through what this game had kind of looked like. So
Number
we were
16,
all,
Nebraska.
yes. So we were all like, okay, it's going to be Nija. It's going to first Jordy.
The
We're going
whole
to get the
country.
pitching matchup
That's what
of
we
the
thought.
century, the whole country, everybody. Well, actually, we decided to go a different route, and we start with
Psych!
Brenly, who just came off of the big win against Penn State. So we put in Brinley, and we're like, okay, maybe Nija's going to close out that game. So Brinley comes in. She does allow 2 runs, but again, they weren't like. I mean, I would take those runs. I mean, I'm not going to take runs, but
Yeah,
it wasn't.
She didn't get hit around. It was just kind of some tough
Yes,
breaks.
exactly. Right. It was just some tough breaks. So then we got Chloe Riasetto in, and she held steady for the longest time. Like, I was actually really proud of what
She
I
did a
saw from
great
Chloe
job.
Riasetto. She looked really great, especially, she looked great against Penn State. She looked great again against number 16 Nebraska, who does have some of the best hitters in the country, especially their pitcher, Jordy Ball. And then eventually, though, things kind of got out of hand, and then and then she lets up 3 runs. So now Nebraska is up 5-0. Everybody's losing their mind. I'm losing my mind. The OU fan, Sooner Shay in the comment, well, whoever she is, she's commenting on our stuff. Like, I'm like, what is going on, guys? Like, I know everybody's being chirping. They're saying they failed the game of softball, all these things. Well, hold up. Not so fast. The game of softball has not failed us yet because while the offense looked really dead, stuff came to life. We revived it. It is the bottom of the 6th. Anya Gurman, she grounds out to third, and now we have one, and then she got 1 RBI off of that. And then Nyjah freaking Kennedy, she may not have contributed on the mound, but she decided she was going to contribute at the freaking plate. And Nyjah Kennedy, she comes up to bat, she homers this, she brings in 3 runs, and now the game is 4-5. We are only within 1 run. We close out the inning, still 4-5. Brenly gets back into the game, checks back in the game, and we'll see a clip about what Tara had, or no, that's the next game. My bad. She comes in, just completely takes care of business against Nebraska. No worries. We're all good. All right. Top of the 7th goes by. Now it's the end of the 7th. Here we go. Alana Johnson, she gets her chance again to try to call game. Sure enough, it works out successfully. She hits it, and it hits the second baseman's glove. It hits the ground, comes up. It looks like it's gonna go into the second baseman's glove. Yes, and I was like, oh no, like it's the out. Like, oh no. Well, the ball it bounces off the glove. It's an error. Sure enough, Maya Davis, Bailey Lindemuth, they come in, 2
Great base running.
unearned runs, and we win. We win the game. We beat
Pressure
Nebraska.
bust pipes. All these haters, you didn't have any earned runs. Who gives a shit? The point is to score more runs than the other team. We have a team built on, we have a lot of speed players. We have a lot of players that can put the ball in play, and we're going to force you to play good defense. And I hate to break it to you, Nebraska, you couldn't do that inning. And so you gave us a chance, and it's not like Nyjah Kennedy stepped up there and just tripped and fell her way into a 3-run bomb off of one of the best pitchers in the country. It's not like Lauren Allred came up right after her and tripped into a triple that didn't turn into anything, but we were hitting her good. So I don't want to hear any of that stuff. Like, that's just absurd. Not any earned. Like, that's, anyway, I hear on a rant about baseball and softball stats. There's just silliness to the baseball and softball stat world where people get hung up on silly stuff like that. I'm like, the final score is the final score. Defense is a part of the game. And we're going to be a team that forces you to prove that you can play defense. And in both of these games against Penn State and Nebraska, our speed and the way that we can just at least put the ball in play is kind of what gives us enough energy to get our power bats up to the plate where they can boom one. So let's watch some of the highlights, and you can relive everything that Tyler's did a great job of outlining there for you guys.
2 outs. The pitch. It's hit towards short. Takes a quick hop.
Great play by the freshman to get out of that first inning. That was huge. Chloe stepping in there and keeping them to 2 runs was big time.
In this tournament already. And that ball is hit down
double.
the left field line. It's going to get all the way to the wall.
So close.
And roll it into second base.
Yeah, this was an inning where later in the year we're going to find a way to score off of this. Like, to lead off double and not score, like, you want to be able to take advantage of that, but we're still getting there. I think we end up great little bunt by the freshman.
Over to first.
Runs it out.
Quick throw, but pulls. bacon
We had
off the
first and third,
bag.
only one out, and just couldn't quite find a way to score.
And Texas
But
Tech has runners on the corner with
at least
just
putting the
one
pressure
out.
on.
Out of one here. That pitch beaten towards first. The tag and spins quickly.
Job, Reagan.
Does
Play,
Jennings.
play Reagan.
And gets
Reagan's
the
been great
second
at
out.
first
Both
base, by
runners
the way.
advance. You got
Amazing.
second,
Been solid,
third
yeah.
on.
Good little defender.
Riacetta pops one shallow.
Yeah, Chloe was dancing out of
center.
trouble all game.
And
That's
in
what
there
she
to make
does.
the catch is Davis. Fires one back through the middle, off of ball's leather.
Maya is, I
Gets
think
through
Maya
for
is
a
our
base
leading
hit.
hitter right now, maybe?
Ball's in. There
She's
goes the
been fuego
runner.
of late.
And good throw on the money and ball. So
Throwing out base runners was a question for us coming into this year. That was a question mark people had about us. I don't know if anyone's stolen a base on us. It'll definitely be tested against Texas more than we've seen, but that was a good start for
German.
Anya to throw out a runner there. I think that was the first
makes a great throw down
time
to
someone's
second, and
attempted a
ball
stolen base
is
against
now
us.
the 1-2 pitch.
We haven't allowed people on.
Hit
a lot of
towards
people on base.
third. And takes the out over at first.
That's when you're like,
Davis
oh,
comes
Nebraska's like, oh, we're going to bases loaded. We'll allow a run. No big deal. We're not worried about it. Just one run. It's cool. Little did they
Score,
know.
and Texas Tech is on the
Should have
board
cared
for the
about
first
that
time
run
today.
a little bit more.
Ball
'Cause
delivered.
Nyjah.
That ball is hit to center. It is deep, and it is gone.
Yaboo!
A 3-run homer.
Her
And
first
Texas
of the
Tech
year, her screaming. The picture of her
flying back
screaming
into
into
this one.
Reagan's face as Reagan's screaming back to her is a classic. I don't know if y'all seen that picture.
And that's towards short. It's off the glove into center
sucks
field.
us up.
And Texas Tech.
The announcer didn't know what was going
Who's
on.
gonna
Nobody knew
win
what was
it?
going on. Hype.
Alana Johnson.
Wins
Clutch.
it for the Red Raiders.
So clutch.
6-5.
To come back in back-to-back games like that is really impressive, which is something that we have. We'll listen to Nyjah first, who talks about the big hit that she made in this game. It also just, of course, Nyjah always brings it back to her team, and she talks about the ability to come back in back-to-back games as well. So we're going to disappear, but here's Nyjah Kennedy following both of their comebacks, or I guess back-to-back games with Nebraska and Penn State.
So just knowing that all of the work we've done in the offseason, like I thank Coach Glasgow so much just because he put so much time into me this offseason, just was outlaid. And I know I asked him to work with me a lot, and at no point did he ever say no. So I owe a lot to him, a lot to God. And yeah, just excited for this season, a lot to my team. Just being able to come back like that 2 times in a row, I think that says a lot about us.
Nailed it. That's so cool. Like the hitting aspect of her game is something she's worked a lot on, and so to see her get a chance to do that there is impressive. To see that hard work pay off, and everyone talks about how hard she works, and you saw it there. And then we see she gets another home run the next day as well. But also after the game, this is all from D1 Baseball. Justin over at D1 Baseball, by the way, got these clips. He allowed us to use these, but you can go find them on his Twitter page if you want them. But he also talked to Coach Jerry Glasgow after their doubleheader that day and asked him about the whole situation on not playing Nyjah and what his thought process was. And this was his honest answer about it. So it's about 2 minutes long, so just enjoy it. Thought it was great insight into why Nyjah did not pitch to start Nebraska, which was all the controversy this weekend that worked out in our favor.
You know, I felt like last night Nyjah pitched an unbelievable game, and had 12 strikeouts, did everything. And we come so close. We hit 2 balls within a couple feet of the top of the fence. And we had opportunity to score, but we didn't score. And I just didn't want to put her back out there without first teaching my team, like, we don't just need one great player. We got to have a ball club. And if we want to win, you guys are going to learn how to do it. I just want them to learn how to do it as a team, not just letting Nyjah pack our bags for us, And I just thought, and the other part, I know how hard Nyjah's worked with me to learn how to hit. Like, she's worked so hard. And we're facing the best pitcher probably in college softball besides Nyjah Kennedy, or alongside of her. We're 2 of the top pitchers in the sport. And I'm expecting her to hit off of her. I told her, I want you to focus on hitting tonight. It's an opportunity for Nyjah Kennedy to learn, like, I've worked hard and I can hit a great pitcher, and I didn't want to distract her. And I think that may be more valuable to us in May than we know she can pitch. But Nyjah didn't know she could hit. So there was a whole bunch of factors, and I knew that like it was going to look really bad if it didn't go my way. But that's when I've been here so long and I've coached so long, I can take the criticism. I just want my team to learn how to play as a team. I want Nyjah to be a hitter, and we'll worry about combining the pitching and all that later. We're not worried about February. We want to be good in May, and we got a long way to go. We got a lot of things to do. That's such a time wasn't right.
We love the honesty, the transparency. If you are still getting to know Jerry Glasgow as a Texas Tech fan, the limited time I've talked with him, that's something you pick up really quick. Is he is very transparent and honest about. I mean, he'll just tell you what he's thinking all the time. Sometimes you're like, oh man, I don't know if people need to know that. Maybe we should keep that one in house. But that's how he is, and he's just kind of like honesty is the best policy kind of thing. So truth teller, as they say. And I thought that was some good insight from him on that.
Yeah, no, for sure. I loved what he said about we want to be ready in May. We don't really need to be, we don't really need to be getting too crazy over what's happening in February. Obviously, I love that we started with our 5-1 start, and that was great. It was amazing. And I think that the biggest thing in this Nebraska game that I really want to point out is just you asked everybody to step up in that game, and they did. You didn't need to have Nyjah Kennedy come in and pitch and close that game out. So to these people over here that are saying that Coach Glasgow was failing the game of softball, if anything, he grew the game of softball. Stanford wasn't letting Nyjah hit. Guess what? She's probably right now our best home run hitter right now, and she hit a home run that got us back into that game. We grew the game. How? Because now Nyjah is versatile. She can now hit and she can pitch. And then Brenly Gonzalez comes in and closes out that game as a freshman. So now we give her confidence against Nebraska to go and do the damn thing. So I'm just saying that everybody got to play a huge part in that game. We battled adversity. We came back. This is a team that type of resilience is what you want to see in May, and Coach Glasgow knows what he's doing. So for all the haters out there, yeah, you found out that guess what? Texas Tech is more than just one player in Nyjah Kennedy. We have a lot of talent. We have a lot of threats to this team, and that's what you got to see. So yeah, we did grow the game of softball. So that's what I'm going to leave it at there for Nebraska.
Boom. I mean, cook, Tyler, cook. Crushed it. Yeah, that whole I get why people wanted to see that matchup. It was going to be cool, but you still got to see it. You just got to see it in a different way. And that is how you grow the game, is that it's not just these stars. There's other people on this team, right? And that was the thing, is people just thought Texas Tech was just Nyjah Kennedy. And I think you saw in this game that it's more than that. And Glasgow wanted his own team. You heard him say that. He wanted his own team to realize we are more than Nyjah Kennedy. She is electric. She's going to do what she does this year. She is the best player in the country. And we've seen that, right? But y'all are just as important to this team, and we need y'all to believe that. And the players got to go out there and show that. Maya Davis had 3 hits. She's just stupid fast. I knew I was gonna love watching her play. It's so much fun to watch Maya Davis play. Also, shout out Vic Valdez, had a huge pinch hit to start off that inning, if I remember correct. Came in pinch hit to start off the inning late, and she was on base to allow that comeback to happen. She has great energy when she gets on base. I mean, I think she got on base and said, I think she's who started this last inning, the 7th inning. She pinch hit and got on base with a single and said, "Let's effing go!" You could see the camera, and then she got pinch ran for. But shout out Vic Valdez. Her energy is elite. She terrifies me sometimes with that throwback after the strikeouts from the catching, which she throws it up in the air. I'm terrified she's going to hit our pitchers in the head. We need to work on the chemistry there a little bit. It's getting a little too close to comfort. But her energy after she gets hits is hype. So shout out her, because that's what you need. You need someone to get on the base and get everybody riled up. And then another cool moment from this game that happened later in that inning, Nyjah talks about it in the extended version of the clip we just showed you. Again, you can go find it from Justin McLeod on Twitter. I said D1 baseball, by the way. Sorry. I worked in baseball for 10 years. It happens a lot. I have to break that habit. We work with D1 baseball. D1 softball, obviously, Justin McLeod. He got those interviews and allowed us to use them in here. You can go watch the full thing. But Nyjah told a cool story in that she was 7th inning previous innings when she hit the 3-run bomb, she's standing in the dugout with Tara Archibald, the pitching coach, and she just like has her arm around her, and Tara's like, just take it all in. Just take it all in. Lana's at the bat up. Lana Johnson, I think they call her Lana, is up to bat with runners on base with a chance to win the game. And she says, Lana's got this. She's going to do this. Just take it all in. And like, that's one, so clutch to have Coach Archibald on this team as an associate head coach. She's a head coach herself. And to have that foresight to just like be there with Nyjah and be like, just take it all in. It's about to happen. And sure enough, it happens. So love stories like that. That's a part of that extended kind of clip with Nyjah if you want to watch it. But cool stuff all around from our coaching staff to our players. I think everybody had a moment where they contributed for the most part this weekend. There's some others that are going to step up this weekend when they get their chance, but cool stuff.
Yes, for sure. So then that night we had to play another game. I was like, oh gosh, we got to play another one, but it's okay.
Softball
This
is
game,
a lot.
this game though, easy money. Iowa
It was
don't
over
even know
before
how
it
they have a
started.
softball team. Like, bro, like we blew them out. Sorry, no offense. I'm just pressed about the Big Ten. Okay, I'll get over it. But Iowa was a blowout. We won 11-0. Let me just read off some of these like scoring highlights in just the first inning alone. Alana reached on fielder's choice and got an RBI because Maya Davis ran through and scored.
Mhm.
Anya German, by the way, incredible freshman. She gets up on the plate and she just owns it. She's like, yeah, I don't care. I'm going up
Doesn't look
against
like
so
a
and
freshman.
so. Like,
Doesn't look like a freshman.
yes, not at all. She is
What a great
straight up
pickup.
like
What a great pickup.
great pickup. She singled the center field, advanced on second, and then got 2 RBIs with Sydney Striller and Alana Johnson. Then Lauren Allred, she reaches on an error by second base. Vic Valdez advanced to second, and then Anya German scored. And then again, still in the first inning, Maya Davis doubled. She got 3 RBIs. Kylie Huffman scored, Haley Toney, and Lauren Allred. And then we get into the second inning, which was the last time that we scored. And then Anya flighted out. And then Reagan Jennings scored. Vic Valdez, she doubled to the right center. Nyjah advanced to third, and Alana scored. And then Lauren Allred had singled to the left field, got an RBI in with Nyjah scoring, and then Haley Toney flighted out. And then Michaela Garcia advanced to third, and Vic Valdez scored, and we ended 11-0. And then as far as pitching was concerned, Nyjah did pitch in this game, and Nyjah ended up getting us 7 strikeouts, and then Sam Lincoln closed it out in the last inning. Easy dub against Iowa. We won our Big Ten championship. It was great. Love to see it. 5 inning softball.
We carried
Got
the
to go to bed
momentum
early.
right into that game. We scored, I guess that would have been 17 runs in 4 innings. The last 2 of Nebraska and the first 2 of Iowa. We were getting them all in. Yeah, my highlight of that first inning was Maya Davis had a leadoff triple, and then she batted again, like you said. So she had a triple and a 3 RBI double in the same inning. Stupid. So,
Crazy.
yeah, that was good, Iowa. And then they came around the next day, and that's not easy to go through all that excitement. And, oh, wait, you have to get up. Super Bowl Sunday. Yeah, one more game to play before we can lose our focus a little bit. And so they had Kennesaw State at noon after all that excitement. I don't know how much sleep they got or not, but they took care of business 3-0. What do you got on that game?
Yeah, so Alana grounded to first base and got an RBI. This is in the first inning, and then Nyjah flew out to right field and got an RBI, and now we're up 2-0 at the top of the first. And then that was about it. So this game, I felt like offense, they were getting some things going, but I think, could have just been really tired. I mean, think about it. This is the 6th game. This game also apparently didn't count in the NFCA tournament champion standings or whatever. So I was like, whatever. Yeah, it was all for vibes. But then later in the game, in the top of the 6th, Nyjah hit another homer out to left field, put us up 3-0, and then Nyjah just casually gets 14 strikeouts against Kennesaw State, in 6 innings.
Only 2 away from our school record, and she's already done it twice
yeah,
since she's been here. So
wait till we play these schools where everyone's like, I didn't even know that school existed. That school record
have many
gone.
of those on our schedule. I don't know if we have any of those on our schedule this year, but yeah.
And
I don't know if she'll be pitching
yeah,
against them. Yeah.
Sam had ended up closing the game out, and yeah, we beat Kennesaw State. Game changer had a crazy angle for that game for a while. We'll say that was looking through a fence.
Tyler was not about it.
But it's
I didn't get
okay.
to watch that game, to be honest, but I went back and watched some of the clips from it. So I saw the Nyjah home run. We posted that. So yeah, she's locked in at the plate. I was excited for what she would do, but she's locked in early in the year. So how can you not have confidence in what you're going to do when you go out there and get a home run against Jordy Ball? So that's going to carry with her the rest of the year. So she knows what she's looking for. So yeah, shout out softball. Do you have any more about that game before
No, that's all I got on
Good stuff.
Kennesaw State.
Yeah, got it done. Sam again came in, closed it out. So I thought she bounced back well in back-to-back games, closing out the games for us. So good for her. We're going to need her. Nyjah was named all-tournament team. I think Maya, if this was like a real all-tournament team where they just picked the best players, I think we would have had more than one, but they just pick one person from each team is the way they do it. So obviously Nyjah Kennedy was our player that was represented on that team, but Maya Davis was in Fuego in this. Lauren already got in Fuego to end it. Reagan Jennings had 6 RBI, I think, on the weekend. A lot of people contributed. Chloe was big. You know, we saw Brinley Gonzalez come in the circle. All of them contributed, so good for that. They're now ranked anywhere from 8th to 11th in all the different polls. I don't know. I think maybe the official one is 8th. I don't know.
Yes, by USA Softball.
Is that the official one? So that'll be what's next to
Yes.
our name when we play number 1 Texas this weekend, twice down in Austin. We talked about that earlier. Go get your tickets if you can. It's a tough place to get tickets because it's not the biggest stadium in the world. But if you can get them, do that. If you can't get them from the Longhorn games, so we do have 3 other games that weekend, 2 against UMass and 1 against Maryland, I believe. So from Friday through Sunday, we'll play 5 games in Austin.
Yes, y'all be there. Austin Red Raiders, y'all get to watch some great softball. Texas, OU, and Florida are all over here battling for the number 1 spot in all these polls. So Texas will probably be number 1. I think Texas is number 1 in the official recognized poll by USA Softball. So it's a great opportunity. Right.
We know
and like
that.
I said, we know.
We've been through some times.
We've been through some times. I think that if we're looking at Texas, for me personally, obviously you'd love to get one off of them. You really want to get one off of them. But if not, as long as it, is a really close game, compete, and it doesn't turn into a 69-2 blowout, I think I'll be content, and I think that's a lot of growth. So yeah, I mean, last year it was rough last year, but this year we got it covered. I think let's go ahead and get both of them. Let's just do it. Go for it.
If we beat them twice, we would jump up into like the top 30. So that would be insane. But I'm in the same boat. Like, of course, if we get one, I think that would be hype. But if you lose both, it's really not like they're the number 1 team in the country. I think just go down there and compete. We have a lot of players on this team that have experience in that stadium, whether with Texas Tech or Louisiana played there. I think just last year they played Texas. Lauren Allred, before she got shut down for the season, I believe she hit that home run. Y'all have seen a show before. I think that was last year at Texas and their loss at Texas. So they have some experience there and against those pitchers. So shouldn't be something where anyone's going in and they're like scared of the moment. Of course, I think that's the difference maybe this year versus past years. But Texas is very good and they can get going offensively. But we're going to need all of our pitchers to step up. We know who Nyjah is, but it'll be a really big chance for our young pitchers to get experience against a really talented lineup. Nebraska is a good lineup, Mississippi State, but Texas is a step up as far as hitters go. You got, Atwood out there she's just absurd. So it'll be a good test. I can't wait to watch them. Well, actually, I don't think I'll get to watch them. So maybe I'll give Tyler the keys to the Seeing Scarlet Twitter account. Do you feel brave enough for that? Because your girl's going on vacation for the next week, leaving Friday. I'll be on a plane during the first Texas game. I'm hoping maybe I can just follow along, just like StatCast at least. And then I'll be on a boat during the other game. I won't be able to watch it. So if the page is really quiet, if we're upset in Texas and all the things, you're like, why is Seeing Scarlet not freaking out about it? I just want y'all to know that I'm gone, which is a bummer, but like also I'm excited for my vacation, so I can't wait to check the stats afterwards and be like, we just upset Texas, let's go. But if it's a little quiet and not as obnoxious and we're not yelling ya boom on the timeline very much, it's because I'm gone unless Tyler wants to take over, but we'll see. That's what's going on there. Get your tickets, go show out Texas Tech, yell some Raider powers, and get them some dubs, and then
get your horns down.
Yeah, get your horns down. This is your chance to do it because they're not in the Big 12 anymore, and then they will be back in Lubbock the week after that for the first time, so that'll be good.
For sure, yes. Big game in Austin. Y'all be there. Should be some great softball, like we said, and they haven't announced anything with TV wise. I'm hoping that they will, but they're no longer partnered with the Big 12, so ESPN Plus is weird. They would have to play on like SEC Network or
Oh, I didn't even think
SEC
about
Network
that.
Plus. Yeah, so media rights, we don't know, but if Game Changer can show us the Blair Witch Project through the little, like what y'all commented and through the fence, then I expect something. If y'all Red Raiders are there, charge your phone, grab a portable charger, and you're putting that thing on
Tyler,
Instagram, Facebook Live, and I'm
drive
watching
to
it.
Austin. We'll live stream it on the Singing Scholar YouTube page. If they're not, the Texas Tech game will absolutely be available to watch somewhere. My
would hope.
question is Texas going to be cool and do what they should do and still stream the games they're not in? Because that's still like an accepted thing across softball. And here I am. I said I wasn't going to rant about it, but it's an accepted thing across softball not to stream the games you're not in when you're a tournament host, and it baffles me. Like, that's absurd. They should hopefully
Right.
still stream UMass versus Texas Tech, but we'll find out.
Yeah, for sure. We'll see. We'll see what happens. I'm sure they'll release that later on. If not, then we just got to follow the freaking stat cast. But you would think that UT's #1, they'll show something. They have to, right?
Texas
would
Tech and
hope.
Texas will be streamed somewhere for sure.
Yeah, surely.
They wouldn't, but
Sure.
I'm just talking about our UMass Maryland games. I don't know. We'll
Oh,
find out.
yeah.
We'll find out. Just go to the games in person. There's a lot of Red Raiders
Yes.
there, so chance to watch them in person if you live that way. So that is softball. Big stuff. Let's go. So many games. If you're not used to non-con softball, some people were learning on Twitter. I was having to explain why they were playing so many games. I was like, this is how softball works. They'll play like doubleheader in the non-con. But once it gets to Big 12 play, it'll settle down to like normal 3-game series. But for now, they put them out there, and that's how you grow your team up. So good stuff on them. We'll be back at some point next week. It'll be later in the week, hopefully to talk about them winning some games. But it'll be next Thursday, probably late, before we talk about softball again. Because again, I'm gallivanting. Sorry, guys, but I do have a life, believe it or not. Unfortunately, Sing Scarlet is not my life, so I will be often doing things. But that's them. Any final thoughts on softball before we move into basketball?
No, I think that just great way to finish out the weekend 5-1. Let's get hype. Let's win some more games. Keep the historic season going.
Historic. Well, we can't call it that yet, but it hopefully will be historic season going. All right. Yeah, into the Lady Raiders. So they only had one game. Yeah, only have one game for us to talk about because they're off this week right now. They're in the middle of a much-needed bye week, so yay them. They went down to TCU. They lost that game 63-42. It was a 1-point game at halftime. I thought I didn't get to really watch it live. I was kind of trying to pay attention with softball going on, but it's too many sportsing things. So I watched it the next day, and just so we could get on here and talk about it. I really liked what I saw in the first half, especially defensively. I thought our defensive game plan was really smart. Again, our staff is really smart defensively. They really know how to coach defense. They really know how to scout defense. They know how to put together a game plan that disrupts the other team's best players and what they want to do. We were trapping every single time Haley Van Lith or Madison Connor got the ball in their hands and forcing them to get the ball out of their hands. Furthermore, if you watch TCU, you know they love a good skip pass. They love skip passes. I'm sure our staff knew that. So not only were we trapping them, then their instinct is to skip pass it because that's what's drilled into them. So then they're trying to skip pass out of a trap, and we were able to pick off a lot of those skip passes on the backside. So I thought our defense was really solid. You'll see that in a couple of clips. Really impressed with Bailey Maupin. One smart defensive play I have in a clip. The intensity was there throughout, really. But second half, I think our legs got a little tired, and we kind of were a little bit lazy on a couple of closeouts, went behind a couple of screens in the third quarter to start it. And TCU got a little bit of a cushion, and then they just kind of built on that cushion as it went. But I thought offensively we weren't making the shots, which, again, is an issue that they need to work on. But this was different than the Colorado game that I talked about last week. I saw an identity. I saw, like, we were doing consistent stuff throughout this game, and we'll show some of that. And I said last week, like, that's kind of all I'm asking for at this point, so I can't sit here and then complain when I saw consistent stuff. And I think if they just keep growing from that and get better, they need to execute it better at times, and they need to make some more shots and all the things. But I think if they stick with that, their players will get more comfortable in it and kind of know what shots they need to work on, all the things we talked about last week. So that's kind of my overall thoughts. If you have them, then we could show some highlights from it and talk about what's ahead.
I agree. I think Defense looked really great. Really don't have much to complain about it. The only thing on defense that I was just a little bummed about was we let
Not enough
Aaliyah
turnovers.
Roberson get her career high. That
We
for
didn't
sure.
force
And
enough
also,
turnovers, but we played good defense.
such is life. And then also Aaliyah Roberson, I warned y'all. I was like,
Tyler
please
tried to
stop this
tell you.
girl. I tried. I said, guys, please stop her. But we gave her, a career high. That's like Texas Tech fashion. We always have that in every sport. So she got her
She
career
plays
high,
good
of like
against us every
14
single
points.
game.
Yes. I don't know what she has something against us, but yeah.
Her
But other than
her
that,
sister played for us.
oh, okay, that makes more sense. But yeah, can't complain. Although about that, I thought defense looked really good. If y'all want to just kind of like see real quick on how inefficient offense was ish in like the second half for us, well, it was. Just know that defense did their part. They held Sedona to 9 points. Last time we played them, she had 20 piece. Haley Van Lith only had 6 points. She had
All in the
another
second
20
half.
piece when they came here. Yes, and then you take a look at that and you're thinking like, okay, like that's the recipe. That's how you beat TCU. But then you look over on our end and Shavers had 15 points and Logan had
Solid.
11 points and Adley had 8.
Solid.
All three of them led us. And you're like, okay, you got double figures. So you're like, okay, you had multiple players in double figures. It should have been the recipe. But unfortunately, we just weren't able to keep up. Some of our other starters like Bailey, Kyla, Sarah, they just really couldn't get a lot going. Danae, granted, she had really great defensive game. Danae did, but other than that, it was just kind of like you had the recipe to success, and then the end of the third quarter is when it got out of hand, and then TCU just kind of built it on. But if you look at those stats, I mean, holding Sedona to 9 points, I mean, that's crazy. That's crazy stuff. And Haley to 6, like, wow, we have a good defensive team. It's just offense got to get something going.
Yeah. Defense wins championships, but not if you can't score at least 60 points.
I agree.
So, but yeah, defensively, again, I really do think this team has started to buy in defensively, and they kind of know who they are. I said that last week. I was fully confident that is the defense we were going to see. Which someone commented that I was crazy for saying that because TCU has Haley Van Lith, and I don't remember who it was. Someone commented somewhere like Shelby thinks we're going to play good defense against TCU. I was like, well, we played good defense against them last time. Like, if you watch the team, like our defensive identity is there. Like, I was fully confident that we would see a good defensive performance from us on Saturday, and we did. I just wasn't sure what offense was going to show up. And we just didn't hit enough shots. We weren't consistent enough on the offensive end. But I did like what they were doing, especially in the first half. So we have some clips to show you because I think y'all would run me out of town if we didn't show something. So I'm trying to do my job for you guys here. We had just a short clip of stuff. All of it, I think, is from the first half for the most part. It's kind of maybe one clip late. That I did like some stuff they were doing offensively. And they just kind of got to stick with it and just get better at it. That's just the truth at this point. But when they run it well. There might be one defensive clip in here because, like, yay, Bailey. It was great. It was good stuff. But look at this. This first play, Bailey's about to get a jumper in the short corner. I've talked about this 3-man movement before on the side where we go down to the post player and we have an up screen, back down screen. Where it gets someone free. A lot of times it's been Danae in the corner, but this one actually works for Bailey, and I believe Danae is the one that sets the screen. I love this action, and I think there's so many different ways we can use it, and so many different offshoots of it that, I mean, I would love to see it. I don't know, you can't run it every time down, I guess, but I think it should be a staple of the offense, and you're starting to see more and more of it. We run it well. And so this is how we get a good look for Bailey. And she reads it well, too. So Danae down to Sarah, and then Danae sets a good screen. Bailey gets free, short corner. Good read by Bailey because it was an awkward moment for her. She wasn't going to be able to get to the 3-point line, but she did take that short corner bucket and got it done. So I really love that action. You've heard me talk about it multiple times. I love it. It's so simple and it works, and there's so many offshoots of it that you can run if they start jumping that, and then if they jump that, then Danae's open on a slip. And if the post jumps it, then Sarah can turn it into a post move. I really appreciate that it was there. That's all I'm saying. So we're down 10-2 here. This is later in the game. These are out of order. Sorry, guys. This was a defensive moment. That's probably why it's later. I just threw it in here. This might be one of the smartest plays Bailey Maupin's ever made on defense. Love this. Just watch. Heads up defense by Bailey Maupin. I say this because she kind of jumps. She notices the clock is running down in the backcourt. And she jumps up on Donovan Hunter, gets in her space, and Hunter doesn't recognize the moment, and Bailey forces a 10-second clock violation. So I wanted to give her a shout out because just a really high IQ moment right here where she gets up in her space and doesn't let her get across half court. We need all that from this team because we need every possession we can get. So that was cool. Oh, look again, we got the dribble handoff stuff going.
Donovan Hunter's checked into the lineup, number 4, the sophomore out of Medford, Oregon.
Look at the spacing.
And the movement, right? And we got them, we're lulling. This is when the dribble handoff works, is when you get creative. I've talked about, like, I'm not a big fan of it when we're just doing this over and over and over and over and over again and nothing's coming from it. But watch this. We've kind of lulled them into sleep, right? Madison Connor's guarding Adley on this front side. She's assuming Adley's about to get the dribble handoff and go back the other way like she's just done twice, right? But no, you can see Sarah sneaking up on her in the background. Sarah's going to set a screen for Adley. Adley's going to drop to the corner, so Madison's not ready for it. And now Adley's wide open for a 3. Great pass from Bailey. Again, a corner 3 where most defenses are most susceptible to getting beat. And we get Adley for a corner 3.
Maupin.
Great offense, people. This is great offense when we run it well and we have some creative actions off of it. You can't just sit there and dribble drive back and forth without driving or doing something off of it, but it was good. This is like the one from the fourth quarter. I think it's just a great pass from Jazz, so I wanted to give her a shine. She makes a great pass down to Sarah on a roll. I mean, that's just nifty right there. So there was other good moments in this, for sure, but those were overall as a team some good stuff that was happening. And again, when they run these actions, when they have a little bit of an identity, you're starting to see that more. And when they stick with that and they're not trying to do all this other stuff, it was good. I thought they did a good job of trying to pull Sedona out in this game. I thought we had a lot of looks at the rim. If we make some layups, we're leading at halftime. If we make some layups in that third quarter to start the third quarter, that lead doesn't get too far out. Like, we got the looks we wanted. You just have to make them. But at least we were getting looks, right? That's kind of where I'm at. It's like, I just want to see that. And I think if you just consistently do this kind of stuff, eventually the players, then it's on the players. Like, they have to start hitting the shots and they got to get in the gym, and hopefully this week off will help them with that. The other clip we have, I talked in places different, the topic of lineups came up. And so I went and did some research on lineups for the season because people asked about it. It's out there in the ether if you want to read the whole thing. But on here, just randomly a lineup came up that actually is our most efficient lineup on the defensive and the offensive end in the entirety of conference play. Happened in this game, and it's the only time they've played together all season. It just a random lineup that got thrown out there, and it worked. And so I put all together the clips because I was like, okay, why did it work? It helps that Adley scores 5 points in this barrage. And that helps, certainly, but it was the end of that second quarter where we just kind of broke out, and we were playing great defense, we were getting rebounds, and we were scoring, and we got all the way within 1 point after being down, I don't know what it was, 10 or 11 at some point in the first half. We clawed back, and this was all with this group. It's Jazz, Logan, Adley, Kyla, and Jalen Bristow. It's an odd group together, right? We haven't seen them, not in conference play at least. And so I was like, okay, I need to see why. So I just put together all the clips. And it's not the prettiest thing in the world. You can tell they have not played together. There's some running into each other moments, but it works both from an offensive and defensive standpoint, just because, like, skill set wise. So you wonder if, like, they got some more time together. I don't know. But you see some good stuff for sure.
Xavi Lopez.
This is what I'm talking about. Bristow looks a little lost here, or Kyle. Someone's lost here. They're kind of just roaming around.
USC to Oregon to TCU.
Get a screen out of it. They're running into each other.
Working on Hunter.
But it's going to lead to a bucket. See, they both Adley and Jalen run up at the same time for the same space. Like, someone's wrong in this point. It's not great spacing, but they've never played with each other.
6 on
but
the
still,
shot clock, Logan Johnson.
Because everybody on that court, basically, besides Logan, is a shooter, the floor is, well, and Kyla, but Logan can drive. So everybody's spread out in that sense, and Logan can go do what she does. So you don't have the lane clogged up. Defensively, this group was just really good at not allowing second chance points. That's what I liked about this group. Watch them block the hell out. Look at that block. Kyla just shoved Sedona Prince out of bounds. This was like an offensive lineman, like, taking their person, like, and taking them all the way down the field, like that moment from the Blind Side movie. Like, that's the equivalent of that in basketball. She just shoves Sedona Prince out of bounds on a block out. Oh, I don't know why it's not playing. No, we're back.
said, when you trust everybody on the court,
Break the press. We love it. We love it.
scared when you go to those great
Buckets.
environments like Manhattan had.
And you know, I really
Adley Blacklock is a big reason why this lineup worked, because she's just a bucket at times. So that's a small sample size. Let's be clear, her scoring 5 points. But this rebounding, this defense between these two. Watch both Kyla. Look at these. Oh my God. I'm gonna pass out. Look at the blocking out from Jalen. Immediate blocking out from Jalen Bristow and Kyla Freeland. This is what we've missed. And even Adley's about to. Like, she has the player in front of her. Like, she's ready. And Jalen forces this girl to jump over her back, and she gets a foul out of this. We have got to do this every time down. And these players, Jalen is a baby giraffe out there. I get it. We've seen it. Her talent is so immense. She's a little bit lost sometimes offensively. Sometimes she gets beat defensively. But the girl can absolutely block out and rebound. And it's just a dimension that not all of our players instinctually do for whatever reason. And she's just a menace. And this group, while she doesn't score in this, I want to give Jalen her shine. The fact that she's blocking out every play, the fact that Kyla's blocking out every play, I don't think TCU gets a single offensive rebound during this 6-minute stretch that they're in the game together. And that is massive.
Bigby for the three. And that's going to be over the back.
All it takes is blocking out. It's fundamental stuff. So it's good to see there. So
Shot clock at 6.
again, I'm not fully sure Jalen knows where she's supposed to be. She needs to get that figured out. But great take by Logan. Jalen cleared space. It took her a little bit to get there, but once she remembered what she was supposed to do, she cleared space, and Logan followed right behind her. We've talked about that a lot this season. If you clear space, you get it the hell out of the way, you create this flow. It's almost like a draft, like in NASCAR, you know? You create like a draft for your teammate to follow you right in that space, and that's what Logan did, and she got fouled and got to the line and scored on that.
Man lift out front. It's only a 4-point game. TCU scoring drought, closing it on 2:20. Texas Tech on a 6.
Look at this, just annoying. Both when you got Adley gets beat a little bit on this, but then you have Kyla Freeland and Jalen Bristow running over you with all those arms. How are you going to make a layup? They don't. Jalen says, I got this. Sedona Prince, get out my way. Like, they don't get a single offensive rebound in this stretch, y'all. That's wild. They have Sedona Prince out there the whole time.
Dribbles into a crowd.
Misses that, but I'll take that shot from Adley. I don't hate it. Great rebound, Kyla. I don't think this ends up going anywhere. I think it ends up in a Jalen Bristow offensive rebound, and this is where she just needs to be stronger right here. She gets this ball, loose ball, needs to be able to go right back up with that, gets it taken from her. But this is where you see like what she can be. She's just still working on the small things, but she is a menace rebound.
Scoring drought over 3 minutes for TCU.
I was talking about that earlier. We double teamed, kind of blitz screened, blitz trapped HVL and Connor all game. Force tough passes like this. Jazz stills it. Just great defensive game plan. Great pass.
Reminds me a lot of what Oklahoma State does on defense.
Yeah, and I don't know that it's something you can do every game. Like, I don't think you can do that against Baylor because we'll talk about them in a minute. They have so many scorers. I don't know. Maybe we will. We'll see what the game plan is. But against a team that has a three-headed monster like that, it's really smart. Like, again, our coaches know what the hell they're doing defensively. Look at this. Adley Blacklock getting to the rim. I love this so much because she's capable of it, right? We need that more. There's a couple of players on this team, and again, it could be a scheme thing like Adley, Danae as well, that don't typically, you don't see that from them all the time, like getting to the rim. I don't think Danae Fritz has taken a free throw since November. Blows my mind, but I think that might be an accurate stat because she just doesn't drive to the rim as much in these moments, and Adley's kind of the same way, and you've seen Adley get more of that. And again, on the Fritz side, I don't know the scheme. We talked about this before we started, but it could be she's just being asked to play defense really hard, and like, hey, on offense you can just go chill and stay in the corner. That's a role on teams, and if that's it, then that's cool. But I'd like to see her drive to the basket more, just like I like to see Adley drive to the basket more because she's capable of that. She's got height over most guards that are going to be playing against her because she's 6 foot. She can finish that. And she needs to keep getting better at that because she missed a couple layups in the second half. But oh, look, more defense. I think this is going to be another rebounding moment for this group. Look at this blocking out. Kyla and Jalen are block out queens. Can everybody on the team, because Jazz, I think bottom side is not blocking out a girl, so we get this rebound. But if Agnes crashes there, we could be in trouble. She just kind of runs into Jazz and she gets it. But if that could have turned out badly if she got there quicker. But because Jalen and Kyla were blocking out their people, Jazz had a chance to go clean that up. Again, TCU did not get a single offensive rebound in this stretch. that is how we came back in this game in this moment, was, in my opinion, rebounding. Because a lot of times we play great half-court defense, and then we allow an easy rebound. And teams just go back up, and all that energy was expended for no reason. This is our last, let's see. Oh, Jazzy. Her bag is so deep. I mean, just good stuff. Oh, look, let's watch another play. I think they score on this play, and I'll put it in here because we take 2 charges, and they don't call either one of them, if I remember right. Oh, no, this is another. Let's see. Yeah, that's a charge, didn't call it. That's a charge, didn't call it, and they score. So that was just annoying, but good defense on our behalf. I thought they did a good job there finishing that out. So there's that lineup. Again, it's a bit of a small sample size, but I think a lot of it had to do with, honestly, the rebounding, the blocking out. When you hold a team to 1 shot, you're going to have a chance to do some good stuff. And I think that's what that lineup did better than lineups we've seen. And that's something that Jaylin can do. Now, she has to keep getting, more integrated on the offensive end and, like, kind of knowing where she's supposed to be, because she's a weapon offensively as well. And when she gets out on the perimeter defensively, we talked about that. She's still working. But when she's down low, and I've talked about this before, when she's out there with Kyla, that allows her to do that, because on defense, Kyla can shift and play the 4, and she can get out, and she can guard some guards, and then Jaylin can kind of stay down low and take care of the 5 player, and where she's more comfortable. So it's a good pairing. It worked. Will it work again? We'll see if it ever sees the floor again. It didn't see the floor again that game. But I really think that stretch of gameplay only happens because of the rebounding. When you don't allow TCU to offensive rebound any of their shots, they're getting 1 shot every time. That's massive, and it's really massive because what we're about to talk about in Baylor, who I don't. If you have any other thoughts on TCU, you can share them after this. But to shift over into Baylor, if you don't, is they're the number 1 rebounding team, offensive rebounding team in the conference, and total rebounding team in the conference. If we don't block out against Baylor, all that energy that we expend on defense, which I trust our defense will be good, but if we don't hold them to 1 shot, they're the number 1 offensive team in the country, and in the conference, and a large part of that is because they're the number 1 offensive rebounding team in the conference, and so even if they don't score, they go get it, and they score off the second chance. So anyway, that's that lineup. People asked when I posted about that lineup being absurd. They wanted to see why, and I think there's a lot of reasons why. Adley coming in there being a shooter, Jazz kind of taking control and making shots when she needed to, but I think a big part of it was we didn't allow a single offensive rebound in 6 minutes. And that's because Kyla Freeland and Jalen Bristow were blocking the F out like crazy people. I mean, those were great blockouts. Like, whether it's them in the game or anybody, everybody has to block out that way if we want to win on Saturday and next week against Cincinnati at home as well, who's the second best offensive rebounding team in the conference. You're playing the best 2 offensive rebounding teams back to back, and that's been an area we've struggled. But for 6 minutes against a 6-7 post, we didn't struggle all of a sudden. So I'm just saying. Take over.
Yeah, I agree. No, I agree with about TCU. TCU only out-rebounded us by 1 rebound. It was 35-36. That's really impressive when you talk about going up against Sedona Prince. And I think that another stat that I want to point out real quick before we head into Baylor is Jaylin only played for 7 minutes, and she had 3 rebounds in
That's
7
a common
minutes.
thing when she gets in the game. She played like 3 minutes the other day and had 3 rebounds. Like she can rebound. I know the staff knows that.
And it's a testament to the blocking out too. Like they're all able to block out and they're all able to get rebounds, and that just those few minutes right there. I mean, you can see that she's rebounding, she's blocking out. We also had another big rebounder within Kyla. She got 4. Logan had 4. Jada had 5. Like, all these people, they're all getting all these rebounds. So that's great that we're able to improve on that end. But again, it's gonna defense again, like we said, look great. Gonna have to reciprocate that offensively though. But I think only getting out rebounded by 1, that's a lot of progress and movement since the last time we played TCU.
Yeah, TCU is the 3rd best or 4th best rebounding team in the conference. So you did pretty good against them, to say the least. There, you didn't get murdered on the boards, which is in large part to a 6-minute stretch there where you just weren't allowing them. So kudos to that group. Again, I don't know. It's kind of a group that you might not have guessed would be out there together, but I think it's more the Kyla Jalen pairing together. more than anything. Obviously, Adley helps. Adley hitting buckets. But I think those two play well together, and they have all season if you look at their metrics. And it's like, how can we get them out there together with lineups that also complement them? Because those two down low will block the F out. You see it every game. They will rebound, and they will keep people off the boards. And if they get enough guards doing their jobs as well, and we don't let some tiny little guard run in there and rebound because our guards are not paying attention, then we're going to be able to hold our own on the boards better. If you can block a 6-7 post out and you can hold them off the boards, why can you not do it on Saturday, even though it's a really good rebounding team against Baylor? So it's just a buy-in thing, and those two, they buy into that.
For sure. So now we are taking on the team from Waco. So Baylor, they're coming home. As we said, y'all be there, wear pink, pack the USA, 2:00 on ESPN Plus. So Baylor, it's a very interesting Baylor team. So when you think of Baylor, you're thinking, oh, they're going to run the Big 12. And right now, somehow they crept their way back up to the top of the standings with TCU and K-State. But Baylor's just kind of having a really weird year. They are back in the top 25 at number 25. They're number 21 in the net. They're 10-2 in conference, and they're 20-5 overall. And as we said, the biggest thing with Baylor is they're first in the Big 12 in offense and first in the Big 12 in rebounding. And they're the only team in the conference that have 5 players averaging double figures. Well, who are those 5 players? Well, first it's their guard, Dariana Littlepage Bug. She's a guard/forward. She has 14 points per game and 10 rebounds per game and leads the team in that. She's a guard, and she has 10 rebounds. Insane. Reminds me a little bit of how BYU, but she's just on a way more elite level than those BYU guards. Then next,
More athletic,
their center.
for sure.
Yes, for sure. And then area net, Von Lay, she's a center. She's 6'3", so she's the same height as Sarah. However, when I was watching film, she has more meat on her bones than Sarah. She's really big, and that
Physical.
could cause us some issues. She's very physical in the paint. She's averaging 14 points per game and 5 rebounds per game. That, looking at her, that's some area of concern that I do have, just because of the size matchup, and she's very physical down low. She's not afraid. At times she could even be, whenever they play TCU, she looked more aggressive than Sedona Prince at times. So we just need to be on the lookout with that as far as what the 5 matchup is looking like. Again, maybe you see Kyla and Jalen do that and try to get blocking out. Who knows? It'll be interesting to see what the game plan is. Sarah Andrews, she's, I think, a grad student. She's been around Baylor for a long time. From what I can remember, she has 11 points per game. She
Former
makes
All-American.
about 7 3-pointers per game, and she makes about 2 of them. She leads the team in assists, I believe. And then they have other guards and forwards as well that average, 10 points per game. They shoot the threes. They make rebounds. All the things. The Baylor's stacked. They're a stacked team. They just haven't found a lot of success in the non-con this year, which is why they're having such a down year in the ranks. But other than that, everybody is a threat basically on this Baylor team. This number 1 offense, they do run, I think, at times what we want to run. They just do it a lot better. They run a 4-out, and they have lots of movement. These Baylor, what I thought was really cool about looking at Baylor is their 3 is running that baseline the entire time. She is going back and forth and back and forth. She's waiting to get open. The 5, she will, work the little paint. She'll work in the triangle. But then the minute that a guard is coming to drive in, she's going to get out of the way. And then Baylor's going to come in, and they're going to try to attack you in the paint. I think that's the biggest thing. Baylor loves to score in the paint. I don't think their 3-point shooting is as elite as some of the other teams we've faced, but they're not afraid of that paint. And I know that at times we struggle in the paint, and that's something that we're definitely going to have to work on and lock in, because they're not afraid. They'll go do it. And their bigs will help them out too. They'll help block out. They'll do all the things. Like I said, that number 21, she'll set screens all day long, and she'll allow their guards to go in there and pound in the paint. So, and she can also be lethal herself if the ball gets down there. So again, we're gonna have to watch out for her. And then they do play man defense. However, I think that a way that you can kind of exploit it, what BYU was doing a lot and how they kept in is if you can catch their players down low off guard, there's very easy passes you can make down low, and they're wide open at the bottom of the basket and can go ahead and make easy layups and shots. That's something that we need to look into and trying to figure out with how you defeat Baylor, because that's honestly what kept the game close for BYU. Is that's what they were able to do. They were able to pass it down low. Their layups, if we can make our layups, Baylor, they're not super great, I think, in like transition if you're really quick on them. So that's just something that I kind of picked up from Baylor. But yeah, definitely last top 25 matchup that we'll play all year. So we have a big opportunity to do something great against Baylor. Like I said, they're a great team. They are at the top of the Big 12 with K-State and TCU. So those are my thoughts on them. What do you have to add on Baylor?
No, you crushed it. I was just pulling it up to supplement what you were saying with some stats. Because yeah, everything you said is accurate. They shoot it at the rim at a much higher level than the Division I average. They shoot 66.2% of their shots within the 4 feet of the rim, which is counted as a rim shot. Is 66.2% is good on that. Division I average is 57%. They get 21 field goals a game attempted at the rim, which is in the 88th percentile in the country. And in the paint, they get about 13 shots, which is outside of that. So yeah, they'll live in there. Von Lay is a transfer from Colorado who was on that team that upset LSU last year. She can definitely fight her way in there and get rebounds. She did that against Angel Reese in the beginning of the season, and they went to the Sweet 16, I think, last year. And Baylor that was an area they struggled. They did not have a paint presence last year, and so they went out and they found that in her. This year, we're gonna have to block out. I think you nailed everything. I don't want to spend too much time. We have other things to talk about and another team, but yeah, I think with Baylor, they're just a well-rounded team. But I think we're gonna learn a lot about them right now. It's just now tipping off as we're recording this, so when you're watching it, you can already go see. But their schedule definitely ramps up to end the season. They haven't played a lot of the top teams in conference, and in fact, the ones they have played, they've lost to. If we're being frank, they lost to Oklahoma State, who is a team that can pressure their guards, and they did. That was very early in conference, though. I think they learned a lot from that, but that is a team they lost to, and then they lost to TCU. They're playing West Virginia at home right now. So again, by the time you're watching this, it might have already happened. Very intrigued to see how that game goes. I'm sure our staff is watching it because they play a style of basketball that we play as far as pressing and stuff and getting after teams, and it'll be interesting to see how they handle that and if we can learn some things from that. But yeah, they're just a well-rounded team. They drive, they look for shooters, they'll get it to Von Lay. We're gonna have to play really good, but I'm hoping that our defense is there, and then just with the week off, this team needed a week off, and they didn't even get. I don't even know if they've had a day off in 10 days. If you think about it, I'm sure they have by now, and by the time we're recording this, because they played on a Sunday last week. And they were traveling. There's no way they could have had a day off, right? They would have had to have just practiced, and now you're required to have so many days off. So maybe they did, but I think they would have been allowed to not have their day off because of the way they're scheduled, because they played Sunday, Wednesday, Saturday. There's not time for that within travel too. So anyway, what I'm saying is I don't think this team has had a true day off in a while, and I'm sure I would assume they were given one on Sunday at least this week. So hopefully their legs will get under them, and they've just been given a chance to get shots up and work on themselves a little bit, and then figure out something for Baylor. But we'll see. I don't think I'll be able to watch that fully, but if they find a way to win, I'll find a way to hype it up. But wear pink, really important game outside of the game of basketball. Cancer, we have a head coach, obviously, and Krista Gerlich, that's a cancer survivor herself. A lot of players that have family and friends and stuff that have been affected by it. I know my mom's went through it. Everybody has been affected by cancer in some way. So to end this preview off with that is wear pink, Play4Kay. It's an important game. Hopefully we can get a dub. Top 25, it's the last chance to get a top 25 dub in the regular season. So
for sure.
Special
Bigger
moment.
than basketball.
Bigger than basketball. Let's get a dub. First time since 2006. I mean,
yes.
Baylor lost to TCU for the first time in 3 decades or something absurd.
Yes.
So
we can go ahead and do that.
And make it the first time they've lost to Texas Tech. Let's really ruin their season. We have maybe we'll have extra motivation for this game. I don't know. We have some folks on this team that might be a little extra motivated, and hopefully their teammates will be motivated for them. And I'm going to leave it there.
Yes. So yeah, hopefully Baylor goes really well, and then next Wednesday we'll have another home slate game against Cincinnati. Cincinnati, they're 6-6 in conference. They're at 500, which is you'd look at that and you're like, oh, that's actually really great. You wish that we were at that point. But the end of their schedule, though, they are taking on the top 5 best. But
and us.
Yes, we're in there. We're in that mix. And I think they're going to be looking for vengeance because they're like, oh, shoot, this may be the last game that we're ever going to win. But I'm not worried about it because Lady Raiders are going to destroy Cincinnati on the home floor next Wednesday. I'm confident. We're going to have to get some confidence. We're going to get our 2-game win streak
Baylor,
started.
2-game. We're
Yes.
going to win 5 in a row. Anyway, sorry, continue.
Anyway, so yeah, that's Cincinnati. They're 78 in the net. They're not ranked. They have leaders in Jillian Hayes, really great basketball player. She's a forward. She has 16 points per game and 9 rebounds per game. Tanea Hilton, she's a guard.
Cooper.
She sounds familiar. Was she from somewhere, or has she always been at Cincinnati?
I don't know about that.
I don't know. All right. Anyway, sounds familiar, but maybe it's from last year. She has 13 points per game, averages that. Chloe Mann, she has 9 points per game, and she averages about 4 3-point attempts per game. She makes about half of them. And then Reagan Jackson, someone who's also really impressive. She's like a freshman or sophomore, really young. She has 8 points per game, and she attempts around 5 3-pointers per game, makes about 2 of them. And then they kind of have this forward situation going on with Alliance Ndiba. She's a forward. She has about 5 points per game, but she leads with rebounds, 7 rebounds per game, and 1 block per game. I don't know. It doesn't seem like, though, that they really go to her to play her a whole lot of minutes, but maybe she does play a lot of minutes. Not quite sure what's going on there, but it sounds like she could definitely be a threat to us as far as her rebound stats and her blocking stats go. Last year, from what I remember, because, finding film for Cincinnati, whatever, they run zone, but they also run man at times, but they may go into a zone, and that's when our shooters are going to have to shoot and get things done. And then also Cincinnati, from what I remember, they're a very physical team. Obviously, they are this year. If they've won 6 conference games, it's not easy to do. Obviously, they're going to be a very physical team on offense. So, again, we're going to have to be able to lock in on defense and also get the ball rolling on our end offensively. You've got to see Cincinnati a few times. What have you got to add on this?
Just random things I've noticed. One, they're tough. I talked about that last year before we played them. That was my concern. If toughest team wins and all the things, that's their brand. They know who they are. They're a growing program. They're just trying to get better. They have a top 5 recruit in the class of 2025 coming in next year that's a Cincinnati native. A little similar to our situation. If ours would just go ahead and commit, Aaliyah, what do you got for me? But theirs already committed, so they have a sense where they're building towards the future and they kind of know their vision and their journey here. But yeah, they're an interesting team. I just pulled up their stats because I thought this was true and I wanted to confirm before I said it. They just live in the mid-range. They can shoot threes. When they get going, they're not afraid to shoot them, but they're not a high percentage shooting team. But they take 15.2 mid-range shots per game, which is unheard of in the modern day of basketball. So they don't have the most efficient offense because most people are ignoring the mid-range nowadays, right? 15.2 attempts per game from mid-range is 97th percentile in the country. I don't know what the rank on that is, but 97th percentile is dang near the top, right? You're in the top of teams that are taking shots from the mid-range. They're not necessarily making all of them, but they're taking a lot from there. They're 25% of their shots come from the mid-range, which is the 95th percentile in the country. They're only making 36% of them, but they're living in the mid-range. And then they crash the boards from there. They're second in the conference in offensive rebounding. That's how they murdered us last year. So I hope we have a little pride about ourselves and don't want that to happen again. Because Jillian Hayes and her cohorts just murdered us on the boards last year. And last, just random thing I noticed about this team, Reagan Jackson is a great leader on this team. I don't know how old she is, but there was a moment they beat Kansas at home in overtime. Last possession of the game, I was watching the end of this game. Kansas has a chance to win the game. And Kansas has one of the best closers in the conference, right? We could not stop them to end the game. They do a good job, end up winning it. But in the timeout right before that play, where Kansas is tied, game's tied, Kansas has the ball, 8 seconds left. Everybody on Cincinnati's team, I was like, oh, dang, I'm concerned. They just look terrified because they had kind of lost the lead. They look like they were upset. They're all sitting down, kind of not looking very confident at all. This girl walks in there, sits down in her chair, and starts yelling at her team. And yelling at them, she's doing this motion, which is block out. That's the universal sign for block the F out. And block the F out. And she's just yelling at her team, block out. We're going to make the stop, and then we're going to block out because they had been getting beat on the boards in that game. They go out there. They force the ball out of Nichols' hands. They make Copeland take a layup, who misses a layup. And what do you know? Who gets the game, make it go to overtime, ceiling, block out, and rebound is their little guard, Reagan Jackson, who's just yelling at her team to block out. She goes in there amongst the trees, blocks the heck out, gets the rebound, forces it to go to overtime, and they end up winning in overtime. I love stuff like that. I noticed that when I was watching that game. She's a gritty. She earned my respect in that moment. The only one that was talking in that huddle, yelling at her team, block the hell out, and then she goes out there and gets the game winning in a lot of ways block out because someone was right there to be able to tip it back in and get the ball, and they would have lost. So small things. They're just a really gritty team that believes, and they'll fight with you to the end. And again, their schedule heats up, and they could lose a lot of games, but don't be surprised if they play with some of these teams as well. They've hung around. They hung around with TCU on the road. I remember watching that. And then they've gotten blown out in other games because they're just not the most efficient offensive team. I get someone that's taken that many mid-range. In the modern day of basketball, it's just not the most efficient offense, but they find a way to win against teams they can, and they just kind of plug away at it. Similar to BYU, where they're just not going to be afraid to come back on you either. They've had massive fourth-quarter comebacks in multiple games. I'm talking like down 20 and win a game level fourth-quarter comebacks at points this year. So you can't let up against them. Toughness is how they win. We got to be mentally and physically tough in that game. Hopefully we get it done. Again, I'll be on vacation still, so I won't be watching that game, but I hope I get to celebrate it when I get back.
Yes. So, yeah, let's go on a 2-game win streak. The opportunities are ahead of us. And let's turn the season around. I think we're almost there. Just got to get it going. Got to get the ball rolling.
You know, that is one thing I will say about the TCU game. I don't know what TCU's got going on. I know they have some off-the-court stuff that's... I'm not going to get into that because it's allegations, but they have stuff maybe. But if you had blacked out the records at the bottom of that screen, when I was rewatching that game, you never would have known which team only had 3 conference wins. Like, in fact, you would have guessed the wrong way, right? I
agree.
Our team was playing harder. The chemistry, especially in the first half, we were celebrating more with each other, all the things. Like, I'm hopeful that's real, right? I think our team is still really bought in and really trying despite all the adversity. And I'm really hoping it pays off for them. A week off they had like one of the latest bye weeks of the conference. They needed it. I'm hoping they get a lot done to get in the gym. They play really well at home. We play a lot better at home like a lot of teams. So we have a couple players in particular that play a lot better at home. And if they bring it and then their teammates bring it, it's possible for sure. On Saturday. It wouldn't blow my mind. I'm not going to lie. It wouldn't blow my mind because we know what this team's capable of. But they're going to have to play really well. So get out and watch them. Wear pink. Play4Kay. All the things.
And then real quick, moving into men's basketball. So the fire alarm strategically made the boys lose, I'm convinced. Don't know what was going on with that. But Arizona, yeah, I don't know if that's even legal, but apparently it is. But Arizona doesn't know how to deal with their pyro fire tech thing like we do here at Tech. So they set off their entire fire alarms, and it just discombobulated the whole entire team. And I don't know, something was in the air that night, but Arizona wins 82-73, unfortunately. I think the big thing here was that we still, like, even though we weren't shooting great, like, we still were able to hang in with them, and that's how I see toughest team wins. If you take a look at the stats, Arizona was shooting over 50% from the floor. We were only shooting 37% from the floor, and rebounding was the biggest, like, deficit at 29 and 42. Rebounding and just not making shots. Yet we still were able to keep them within 9. We even got that game down to like 6 at one point. JT had 21 points, 13 rebounds. D5 had 5 3-pointers and mounted 17 points. Christian Anderson had 17 points. The opportunities were there. You're just playing in a really tough environment. Arizona's a really good team. Us and Arizona both were battling it out. They were looking for revenge, but it came really close. But like I said, it's not a bad loss. Obviously, opportunities were there, and I think that's where you see growth. Is just the fact that, hey, like, we may not have done great on the offensive end, but we were still able to show up and keep it close and not, beat them by 16 like when they came over here. So
yeah, for sure.
Kind of what I saw.
I think we were mentally tough in this game for the most part. I think I think we got out tough though physically. I think that they would probably agree with that. You can't lose the rebounding battle 42-29, the paint battle 48-28, and say that you were the tougher team in this. We were not the tougher team in this. Arizona was the tougher team, and that happens sometimes. You learn from that, and you don't allow it to happen again. To me, this game was kind of a mirror image of the game that we beat them in, except like you said, we were a little bit more mentally tough, so we didn't allow it to get away from us at the end, and we kind of it was a one-possession game within like a minute to go. Ends up being 9 points because of free throws and stuff, but we had our chances. We fought. we kept scrapping in all the ways. We weren't weak in this game, but Arizona was the tougher team. I mean, they just murdered us on the boards, and that was the difference in the game. And it happens. You got punched in the mouth. Really, it's a tough road now to win the Big 12 conference, but it doesn't mean it's not possible. You're going to have to, I think, maybe find a way to beat someone like Houston at home, and which is possible. We've seen it.
Kansas on the road and all the things. Yep.
Yeah, and then also kudos to Arizona. I thought they had a great game plan for Chance McMillan. They were just high hedging on everything. They were going over every screen. There was a guy just following. A similar game plan to if you watch Texas Tech in the first half. Danae Fritz was just like sticking on Madison Connor like glue and just following around, like wasn't even a part of the rest of the defensive game plan. That was kind of what we did against Madison Connor, and it worked. They did that against Chance, but the whole game is they just had one guy that just kind of stuck with him. And Chance had a couple of looks that he normally would make, but because he was being guarded that close all game, he just wasn't in rhythm. So that was kind of the difference. He just didn't score much in that game, and but kudos to them. Other people might try that. But I believe in McMillie to figure it out now that we've seen it. But that was kind of the difference of the game is rebounding, paints in the point, and they just had a great game plan for Chance.
Yes, for sure. I think that was pretty much the difference of the game. You're talking about physical toughness. I think they out-toughed us, but mentally I felt like that we may have had the edge over there. But yeah, that's pretty much how that ended. And then tomorrow you can catch your Red Raiders in action at home against the Arizona school that is not near as good as Arizona. Just saying. We play Arizona State tomorrow at 8 o'clock on a Wednesday on CBS Network, or you can be there, watch us in Lubbock. And then on Saturday, we go to the road against Oklahoma State. And even though Oklahoma State is not that great, we do tend to struggle at Galabariba Arena. We won't this year, but, just keep that in the back of your head. It's a really tough place to play. It's just always I don't know. It's something about that damn arena. It's probably the bright neon orange seats or whatever in the brick. I don't know. That's not the best look, but, Anyway, that's men's basketball for you.
Cool. Yeah, that's great. And then into track, like I said earlier, the women are number 1 in the nation. I would like to start this off by giving some love to Ruta Lasmain. Fortunately, season-ending injury, which is just tragic for her. She won the national championship last year in triple jump for this team. Senior, been around for a while. I don't know how red shirts and all that work. I don't know if that means it's the end of her career or not. Maybe she can come back. But nonetheless, love to her. She's going to come back stronger, no matter what that means, whether that's here or at the pro ranks. But just wanted to give her some love. I saw her announce that on Instagram. So that is a loss for this team, but then they went out and still got 1, 2, and 3 in the triple jump. So that just shows you how deep they are. Someone else stepped up and they got a number 1 ranking. So take it over from here, but I wanted to give her a shout out. Tyler has great notes as always.
Yes. So as you said, highest ranking in school history. Women are number 1. It
can't get higher than 1.
It's sniffing out to be. We might be able to get our first national title on women's track. Who knows? We'll see. Big 12 championships are next weekend. So exciting stuff coming ahead. The men are ranked number 4. Men are doing great as usual. But here are some stars from the New Mexico Invitational. Naomi Krebs was the star of the women's 60-meter hurdles. She dropped a winning time of 7.97 seconds en route to a new personal best, and she has the fastest time in the nation. The time puts her number 2 all time for Texas Tech. Then the women's triple jump, as we said, Red Raiders go 1, 2, and 3. Tamaya Washington leaped to a personal best of 43 feet and 9 inches. And then Susan Ogunle placed second at 43 feet and 4 inches. And then followed by Bosulu Akunduro, who in third at 43 feet. So again, even though Ruta had the heartbreaking season-ending injury, we're still very strong in the triple jump. Not worried about it. These women will do great things come this weekend, and even next weekend in the Big 12 title, and then maybe even in the nationals as well. Another news on the men's side, Sean Brown, he won the 60-meter title, equaling the fastest time in the nation at 6.52 seconds. This time is a new personal best for him, and it's number 9 all time for Texas Tech. So Texas Tech, we're always known for our sprinters. Sean Brown doing the damn thing. And then Success Umakoro made some noise in the 60-meter semifinals, going 7.13. making her have a new personal best and tying the number 4 time in Texas Tech history. And then she went on and won the finals with the 7.17 time. And then your track team, they're going to be splitting at 2 meets this week. It looks like they're going to be playing at the Jarvis Scott Invitational as well as the David Henry Valentine Invitational. The Jarvis Scott one is in Tech in Lubbock, and then the David Henry Valentine one is in Boston. Usually they'll just split the players and, pick which one they want to compete against. So that's what's going on with track.
Love that. Yeah. I mean, it's probably, I don't want to say unrealistic, but it would be tough to pull off. But there is a world in which we could win a national championship in both men's and women's if everything.
Sweep it.
You got
Bring out the
everything has to
brooms.
kind of click your way, and they got to be hitting on all cylinders in a few weeks when nationals come up. And they got to get enough people to qualify for it and all the things. But it feels like we have a lot of people qualified already. So yeah, that's fun. Could talk about them a lot, and we'll hype. When they get to Big 12s, which you said is the week after next, I think, right? So when we talk about them in that episode, they'll get a big old chunk of time because I'm hoping we might have men and women Big 12 champs. That would be hype. So shout out track. Go watch them if you haven't had a chance, whether they're at home or if they're near you at any of these upcoming meets. So women's tennis didn't have women's tennis this week, right? They were off this week, so they enjoyed having a little bit of a bye week. 5-1. They had to Tucson, Arizona to play Arizona Friday, and then also UCSB and Princeton on Saturday. I wonder if the Arizona, I guess it probably just doesn't count towards conference. It's just a random non-con meetup with a conference foe.
Right. We'll see. And then on the men's side of tennis, they're 4-3. They are now above 500. They won in a gritty match against Wichita State, and they'll head to UTSA. So they'll play in San Antonio Friday, and then they'll go over on I-10 and hit Rice on Sunday in Houston.
Go team. Good job. Yeah. Keep getting better there. Okay, and then also golf was off this week for the women. And the men were down in Hawaii, like we talked about last week. Looks like they finished 9th out of 20th. Not terrible for a start to the season. And we had Price Hill and Connor Graham tied for 28th it's a giant field. So 28th.
It's like 140, they said, or something like that. Something crazy.
So that's solid. That's a solid finish, especially for a sophomore and a freshman. And they compete this week in La Quinta, California, Monday through Wednesday. In the Prestige. So just keep getting better there. Keep plugging away.
For
Go
sure.
golf. All right, team. We're an hour and a half in. It's about our time limit there. It's probably all you can handle of us. Thanks for hanging out. Be there on Saturday. Or actually, first of all, if you're watching this in time, be there tomorrow night or tonight, whenever you're watching this. Wednesday night at home for the men versus Arizona State. Saturday afternoon for the Play4Kay Wear Pink game against number 25 Baylor. Chance for a top 25 upset. This team, man, they've been close a few times at home, especially against some top teams. It would be hype. It would be hype if this is the one that they get over the hump. And softball is on the road in Austin. If you're Austin area Red Raiders, you can go watch your top 10 softball team against the number 1 team in the country. Hopefully not for long if we have anything to say about it. And then all the other sports happening. So just catch them, go watch them, and I don't know how it goes around here, but that's all I got. Rag 'em.